Welcome to Justice with Jack. Today's story begins in Chicago, where 18-year-old Ethan Carter lived with his 10-year-old sister after losing both of their parents in a tragic accident. Every morning before sunrise, Ethan delivered newspapers, attended school during the day, and worked at a grocery store every evening. He earned just enough to pay rent, buy food, and keep his sister in school. Although life was painfully difficult, Ethan believed that honesty was the greatest wealth a person could ever have. He often told his sister that one day their lives would change, but until then, they had to keep doing the right thing, even when nobody was watching. One rainy evening, while walking home through a quiet street, Ethan noticed a luxury car speeding toward an intersection. At the same moment, a large truck ignored a red light and crashed directly into the side of the expensive vehicle. The impact sent the car spinning across the road before it burst into flames. Without thinking about the danger, Ethan ran toward the burning car. People nearby stood frozen, recording the accident on their phones instead of helping. Ethan grabbed a metal rod lying near a construction site, smashed the driver's window, unlocked the door, and dragged the unconscious driver away just seconds before the vehicle exploded. The crowd cheered as firefighters and paramedics arrived. Only then did reporters discover the injured man was Richard Blackwood, one of the richest businessmen in America. News channels immediately called Ethan a hero. His face appeared on television, social media praised his bravery, and thousands of strangers thanked him for risking his life to save another human being. Ethan believed that maybe, for the first time, life was finally giving him a chance. The next morning, however, everything changed. Before sunrise, police officers surrounded Ethan's apartment. They handcuffed him in front of his terrified little sister and accused him of attempting to murder Richard Blackwood. Ethan was speechless. According to Richard's statement, Ethan had attacked him before the crash, stolen confidential company documents, and deliberately caused the accident to hide the evidence. Within hours, television channels stopped calling Ethan a hero and began calling him a dangerous criminal. Friends stopped answering his messages, neighbors whispered behind closed doors, and strangers filled social media with hateful comments, demanding life imprisonment. During the investigation, the evidence looked terrible for Ethan. His fingerprints were inside Richard's car, security cameras showed him pulling Richard from the vehicle, and there were no witnesses who had seen the truck driver disappear immediately after the crash. Everything pointed toward guilt. When the trial finally began, the courtroom was packed with reporters, lawyers, and curious citizens. Everyone expected the billionaire to win easily, because powerful people rarely lost in court. As I carefully reviewed every piece of evidence, one detail immediately caught my attention. Richard claimed Ethan attacked him before the collision, but the medical report proved his injuries could only have happened after the crash. That single contradiction was enough for me to order a deeper investigation. Detectives collected traffic camera footage from every nearby street. After hours of searching, they found a black SUV following Richard's car only minutes before the accident. Moments later, the SUV disappeared. Investigators traced the vehicle to a private warehouse owned by Richard's company. Inside the warehouse, police discovered destroyed computers, burned documents, and millions of dollars hidden in secret rooms. The investigation uncovered an enormous financial fraud operation that had stolen money from thousands of innocent investors over several years. Richard had planned to destroy the evidence by transporting it secretly on the night of the accident. When the truck unexpectedly crashed into his car, he realized someone would eventually find the documents. Instead of admitting the truth, he decided to blame the only person who had been brave enough to save his life. Detectives arrested Richard's personal assistant, who finally confessed everything. He admitted Richard had ordered him to erase security footage, pay fake witnesses, and frame Ethan before the police discovered the hidden evidence. The courtroom fell completely silent as the confession was played. Richard's confident smile disappeared for the first time. He realized his empire had collapsed. One by one, prosecutors presented bank records, secret emails, financial transfers, and recorded phone calls proving Richard had lied under oath. The billionaire who believed money could buy justice suddenly had nowhere left to hide. The jury returned after only 2 hours of deliberation. Their decision was unanimous. Ethan Carter was completely innocent. Richard Blackwood was found guilty of fraud, conspiracy, perjury, filing false criminal charges, and attempting to obstruct justice. He was sentenced to decades in federal prison, while his company was forced to compensate thousands of victims who had lost their savings. The judge also ordered a public apology to Ethan. Outside the courthouse, hundreds of reporters gathered around the young man they had once called a criminal. This time, they apologized for judging him before knowing the truth. Ethan didn't celebrate with anger or revenge. Instead, he quietly thanked everyone who had finally believed in justice. A few weeks later, several universities offered Ethan full scholarships after hearing his story. One charitable foundation even paid for his sister's education until graduation. Their small apartment was replaced by a safe home where they could finally begin a new life. Looking back at the case, I was reminded that the greatest danger in any courtroom is not a lack of evidence, but the willingness of people to believe the powerful without questioning the facts. Money can buy influence, expensive lawyers, and public attention, but it can never buy the truth. Justice may sometimes move slowly, but when every fact is examined with honesty and patience, the truth eventually rises above every lie. Before you judge someone based on rumors, headlines, or accusations, remember Ethan Carter. The world called him a criminal for saving a life, yet in the end, it was the billionaire who stood guilty before the law. This is Judge Jack, reminding you that every story deserves justice, and every innocent person deserves the chance to be heard.